2009 Toyota Corolla S with a 1.8. We have a PO15 code, which is your exhaust solenoid, VVT solenoid, variable valve timing solenoid is what it's actually called. We're going to show you where they're located and how to replace them. This is the motor. First thing we do is by starting out by popping it off like that, throwing that off to the side. Your VVT, it's called a variable valve timing solenoid. You have an intake one, which is right here, and the exhaust one. The PO15 is for the exhaust one here. All you have to do, you can see it's held in by a 10 millimeter there, and you just unclip it. It's going to be the same thing for the exhaust. So all we have to do is push that in right there, unclip it, just push down on that. And there's a 10 millimeter in the back. It's going to look like this right here, but it's back here. I already loosened it up. So take that off, just make sure you don't drop it. And I used a 1/4 inch right here, a 1/4 inch. It was easy to get at with a small ratchet. Okay, these right here, you just wiggle it back and forth and it just pushes in. This had a hold down, if you can see it down here, a hold down for the wire, and there's actually a hold down to the block for the solenoid itself. Oh, it pulled right out. Nice and easy. Now these get dirty in that. You can try to clean them, but it's easier with 200,000 just to replace it. We purchased this directly from Toyota, which is a good idea on something like this. Just double check it, make sure it looks the same exactly. And we're going to reinstall it, but before we reinstall it, we're going to take a little oil and rub it right around this O-ring. Okay, now there's an intake one and exhaust. The PO15 is for the exhaust, so you just kind of compare it like that. And you want to make sure that they gave you the right part. And you just slide it in this back hole here. Nice and easy. And it clips in just like that, rotate it around. And if you can see back there, there's actually the bolt, and this little part right there is going to be held on by one little 10 millimeter into the block. You just got to make sure those are lined up. As you can see, this 10 millimeter holds in a wiring harness bracket and also the solenoid. So it's a little hard to line those up. It's not impossible, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. So get those two lined up, screw it in, tighten it up. That's all it takes. And then we're going to reinstall the cover once we snug this up. It's just a 1/4 inch drive with a small little socket. Don't have to be that tight. Good enough. Last thing we're going to do is plug this back in. And you hear the click. And now we're going to want to reset the codes on this thing. You can either do that by pulling the positive terminal on the battery or resetting it with the OBD-ll scanner. And the last step, I grease these up so they slide on and off easier. We're going to reinstall this. It just snaps into place. Just line up the oil. Snaps in. That's all it takes to replace a VVT sensor on a 2009 Toyota Corolla S.